Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Hacksaw. Some legends are true.
Written and directed by Anthony Leone, starring Amy Cay, Patrick Butler, Michael C. Burgess, and George Jac. This movie's about a young couple going on a road trip as they're making their way home for the holidays. They decide to take a detour to the infamous hospital that Ed Hacksaw Crow murdered over 300 people. It was a terrible idea. Just to preface this review a little bit, Anthony has actually been a long-time viewer of the channel long before he started making this movie. This is also gonna be kind of like a weirder video because, well, it does act as a review, it also acts kind of like as like teachable moments. So there's gonna be a lot of information that we share in our dislikes that might not be useful for a lot of people, but more like as direct communication to Anthony on what could have been improved. By the way, yes, I reshot this little segment after we did the review because I realized this kind of spiraled into a different kind of video than our typical reviews. And with that, we'll go into our likes.
Right at the beginning, the one kill was pretty cringy. Like cringy not in a bad way, but like it had my stomach turning. I felt very uncomfortable.
Are you talking about the vagina getting drilled and the clit being cut off with scissors, John?
Yes.
Yeah, they definitely nailed that. We do see some more blood and gore towards the end of the film, but we're not gonna show you that because we want to keep this fairly spoiler free, but it is also solid. Something worth mentioning as well is that like the cinematography is kind of like structured in a strange way. Tommy and Ashley are going on a road trip and Tommy is shooting like a movie himself, just like documenting his road trip. So the movie is split in found footage and regular, and it kind of switches between the two. And the non-found footage stuff does look pretty clean.
I do like the concept of this movie. It's always fun when you have like an urban legend or something where people are gonna go to this abandoned hospital where a supposed killer exists.
You can raise your 5 kids here, honey. Isn't this nice? They can come out here and pee on the wall too. Add a little art to the wall, you know?
I did like Amy Cay, who is basically the star, and she's pretty solid. Not only is she drop dead gorgeous, but she has to deal with some shit. She's frightened and she's running around. She gets all glistening and bloody and stuff. It's important to horror, and I appreciate it. And she seemed natural. When her and Tommy are talking back and forth, like especially when they're like on the road trip, she is visibly getting frustrated with this guy sticking a camera in her face. It would be irritating, and I get it, and she emoted well.
I found the segments with the Heart Show to be mildly entertaining. There is a place for it, and I'm not necessarily sure if it was executed well, but I do understand what he was going for. And it was funny watching this like reporter or talk show host give us our backstory about this hospital.
Yeah, just like an easy way to get some exposition out of the way. Now, what didn't we like? Firstly, I don't think I like the mix of the found footage and the regular cinematography. And I think it was because of the editing. I think the editing was kind of not so great here. You'd be watching some found footage stuff and then it would cut to an exterior shot of the regular footage. So it disrupts the pacing, but it also is jarring visually. And it's seemingly for no reason. And I don't really understand like some of the editing choices.
I will say that the story isn't the best paced because majority of this film is the dialogue between Tommy and Ashley as they're traveling along.
I'm gonna pinch your titty. Come on.
Quit it, Dick, I'm driving.
And then we're cutting to the Heart Show as we get our exposition. In the beginning, we are well aware that there is a killer in this hospital, judging by the opening credits. And I think the weakest part here has to be that there's so much of a lull between what we see in the beginning and what we get at the end that the execution just isn't there. Like, so there's no real twist or reveal that someone is in here. It does get boring when it's just a found footage conversation piece.
People who direct and write and edit, it becomes too lengthy. And I know this is a short movie. This is only like an hour and 5 minutes or something. There's all this middle bit that just is fluff. It doesn't need to exist. There's 30 to 40 minutes of next to nothing, sometimes even just dead air, of just like a shot of wheat for absolutely no reason. And then when talking about the basement shots, most of them are pitch black or the camera's so jarring that you don't understand what's going on. This could have been about 15 minutes and you wouldn't have have skipped a beat, and it would have been paced better. There's just too much fat here that needed to be trimmed off, maybe with a hacksaw. Also, much like a lot of indie movies, I feel slighted a bit by some of the big names on the cover. Sadie Katz is the voice of a DJ on the radio that you can barely hear in the road trip scenes.
I'm heading off on vacation for 2 weeks, but Manny will be in to cover for me and make sure we pay the bills around here.
And Courtney Palm literally has 12 seconds in the whole movie while she Skypes with Ashley, her sister.
To go back to the Heart Show, yes, I understand the point of it, but it did feel out of place with the rest of the movie. It gave us our exposition, but we didn't have any resolution to that storyline. The host didn't die, he didn't go into the building, and we don't see him after when Ashley and Tommy enter the building. You're just like, well, what was the point?
Yeah, like if they had a closing shot of him reporting, oh, look, what's this blood here? Or hey, this bar is knocked off of this door because somebody must have gone in. So that's not only like a better way to kind of cap his storyline off, but also to set up for a sequel, because we know that this Hacksaw guy has a legion of followers, which is a great idea because you can make a whole franchise off of, oh, there was this main serial killer, and then you have like a pig guy, you have somebody in a red mask, you have all these different followers, and you can make almost like an anthology franchise based on this one legend, which is a good idea. There needed to be a way to end the Heart segment. And the fact that he was talking about his teeth all the time.
How my teeth look?
Imagine Hacksaw getting him in there with a hammer and just chipping out his teeth. And if that happened halfway through the movie, then it fixes the pacing. It ends his storyline as our leads kind of roll up to the building and everybody wins.
Yeah, and even if you didn't want to have those deaths in the middle because it didn't fit with your vision, you could have had it where like Ashley's trying to escape and they see like this body in the corner and the person's still alive. And as they go to like pull them up, it's Hart with his teeth missing. And then like you could show a flashback even of how that all happened. So like it ties everything up, you still get a cool kill. It just gives the audience closure and something that they felt that they didn't waste watching.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. This movie's clearly a labor of love here. It's very indie, it's a first-time director with a very, very small budget. While there are some production faults that can be attributed to the budget, most of our criticism has nothing to do with budget. It comes down to the editing and the pacing of the actual movie itself. I like the idea of Hacksaw, his followers, his infamous history, and the location. Unfortunately, how we get to this actual building takes a lot longer than I think it should have, and we needed something else to kind of either spruce it up or trim the whole movie down, because the road trip is just kind of very useless.
I want a soda.
All right, thanks for telling me now. Okay.
And jalapeno chips.
Soda and jalapeno chips.
Yes, please,
Okay.
pencil here.
Well, I did appreciate Amy Cay, and I would like to see her in more horror. The film as a whole is pretty disjointed. Cutting randomly to the establishing shots, I think, really got under my skin, because they'd be in like a high impact moment and just cut away for absolutely no reason. And I think if there was a different editor on board to actually take the footage and make a movie out of it, I think you would have had a way better result. So I'm gonna give this one sketchy ass gas station bathroom out of 5.
I will give Anthony credit because he did do a good job for his first time making a movie. I was impressed with the practical effects and the gore. The problems I have is really with the story. I like the concept, I just feel as though it wasn't well executed. I just had a really hard time feeling invested in this movie because the pacing was so off. There was way too much conversation between our main characters and not enough happening inside the hospital. Whether it's a found footage film or not doesn't matter to me because the story itself is what I'm interested in. And in this case, it was a weaker aspect. I do like our characters and I do like our killers. I just felt as though it could have been presented to us differently. I would have liked something in the middle that would bring my attention back to the story. And closure with the Heart Show. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film one $20 tour guide out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with everything Bloodbath and beyond.